today's live stream. Glad to have you here. All right. You're welcome, Mr. Adekunle. You're so early today. That's good. Let's just hope and pray that the network will be so good tonight, okay? Because it's been misbehaving. Father, take control. All right. Tonight we're going into chapter 3, lesson 2 of Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, right? And the title is Why Teach Financial Literacy. Please let me know if my sound is good. Thank you for the feedback. So yesterday we concluded chapter 2, lesson 1, right? I'm not sure if you remember that lesson 1. And the lesson 1, let me remind you, says, the rich don't work for money. That is lesson 1. So today, we're going to be looking at lesson 2, which is titled, Why Teach Financial Literacy? And this will enable us to understand why the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer. Okay, it is full of lessons. Okay, so the author said that in 1990, he and his best friend Mike is the son of Rich Dad, while he, Robert Kiyosaki, is the son of Poor Dad. By the way, we ended chapter 2, lesson 1, on the note that Mike and Robert were able to think, they were able to allow their imagination to run wild by working for free. And one of the reasons, or one of the lessons that you must learn if you don't want to work for money, is to learn to work for free. It was while they were working for free that their mind opened up and they found a business that they could run. That business was now paying them more money than they would have gotten if they were actually being paid by Rich Dad. So the author concluded by saying that instead of paying us money, Rich Dad had given us so much more, which is true. So here in chapter 3, we are told that Mike took over his dad's business. This business had now grown into, not millions, billions of dollars. Yes, the business of Rich Dad had grown into billions of dollars, that he was even doing a better job than his dad because he now understood how money worked. He now had financial literacy. His dad had deposited everything he needed to know about money, multiplying money, doing successful business into him. Robert Kiyosaki, on the other hand, said that he retired at the age of 47. He and his wife was 37 while he was 47. They retired from their normal jobs, but it did not imply that they stopped working. It only meant that at this time, they were no longer working for money. They had acquired enough assets. They didn't have to wake up early in the morning, go to work and all of that. They could now work on their own terms. They had acquired assets. They had freedom. The assets that they had were now large enough to grow by themselves. And he likened it to planting a tree. So every time you invest, anytime you invest in assets and all of related investment, what you're doing is like planting a tree. You water it for years, and then one day it doesn't need you anymore. So you must grow to the point that you don't always have to be at that physical place of work before you can make money. You need to start making money work for you from now on by making wise investment choices. This is the mistake that so many people make. They wait until old age. They squander the money that they make while they are still young, while they are still energetic. They don't focus on the future. You plant seeds now, seeds of investment, no matter how little, be watering it. It is going to be germinating so that when the time comes that you can no longer run helter-skelter, your energy level is low, your investment is going to be yielding for you. Your money will be working for you even while you sleep. So let's look at the story of the richest businessmen. This is a very, very pathetic story. And let me just paraphrase. In 1923, a group of the greatest leaders at that time, the richest businessman at that richest businessmen at that time, they gathered for a meeting at the Edgewater Beach Hotel in Chicago. I recognize one of these men because we read about him in Think and Grow Rich. His name is Charles Schwab. The others I don't recognize, right? But I recognize Charles Schwab. 9 of them were mentioned here amongst all of those people. Remember, they were the richest at that time. They were the greatest leaders. They were the richest billionaires at that time. But what happened to them 25 years later? 25 years later, 9 of them ended very badly. This Charles Schwab that we're talking about, remember him? He was the one that was instrumental to the merger of the steel industry in America, the steel corporation in America, that convinced Andrew Carnegie, the top boss in steel business then in America, to merge with the likes of JP Morgan to build a billion, not a billion, billions of dollars worth of business, right? But what happened to him? The author said Charles Schwab died penniless after living for 5 years on borrowed money. Another guy, one of this richest billionaires, richest businessman, I beg your pardon, died broke, living in a foreign land. Another one died broke as well. One went insane. He ran amok. 2 of them were released from prison. And 2 of them, another 2, committed suicide. What led to this? And what the author could relate to these unusual circumstances about these rich businessmen was that they all went bankrupt. He didn't really understand, but he was able to liken it to the Great Depression that happened in America, then the big market crash and Great Depression that happened in America so many years ago, where many businesses crumbled. So many people could no longer afford to eat. A lot of people went bankrupt. A lot of people went from being rich to being very, very poor, from being wealthy into abject poverty. And why did this happen? So he suspected that it must have had a very great impact on their lives. But why did this happen? Is it that they didn't know how to manage money? Is it that they did not have enough money to cushion the effect of this Great Depression? The author says he is concerned that too many people are focused on having too much money and not their greatest wealth, which is their education. It is one thing to have money. It is another thing to be financially literate, to be financially intelligent, to know how to manage that money, to know how to make that money work for you. And he said people are prepared to be, if people are prepared to be flexible, to keep an open mind and learn, they will grow richer and richer through the changes, whether there is depression or not, whether there is economic downturn or not, whether there is hardship or inflation. If people will keep an open mind and learn, they will grow richer and richer through all of these changes. If they think money will solve their problems, they are going to have a very big problem, because money in itself does not really solve problems. It is intelligence that solves problems. And when you are intelligent, your intelligence will produce money, because money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. We know so many people, and there are examples here of professionals, football players, professional people who used to be rich in those days, or people who won lottery. That's another good example. Somebody just wins a jackpot, right? The person gets, let's say, $1 million. So this is like sudden money. The person is not prepared to handle this money. The person has not learned how money works over time. So this money just comes boom, like that. And what does the person do? He goes on a spending spree. He doesn't know how to make this money yield more money. And for some people, in 3 months, in spite of having $1 million, they are back to being broke. In fact, they are back to a worse state than they were before winning that lottery. We have so many footballers, and I'm sure you if you think now, you can remember some of them who used to be very rich in those days. I remember one Nigerian footballer. He bought an aircraft. He bought an aircraft. The aircraft eventually became grounded. You know, as we speak now, he cannot be counted amongst rich people. He's not even anywhere close. He's not anywhere close. And so many professional sportsmen are like this. The money just comes. They don't plan. They don't understand how money works. You know, it can really throw you off balance if you suddenly hit a large amount of money that you are not prepared for. This is one good thing that Rich Dad did for Robert Kiyosaki and Mike by teaching them financial literacy. The lessons were tough, the lessons were hard, but it really helped them. There's a story of a guy here who won, no, this is not the one I want to talk about. A professional basketballer who was very, very rich. And let me quickly check his age so that I can give you the right information. Yes, a professional athlete. No, not him. Yes, he's a professional basketball player. At the age of 24, he was earning millions of dollars per year. Millions of dollars per year. By the time he was like 34, is this him? No, not him. He's just giving an example here that so many athletes, who were earning millions of dollars at 24, by the time they are 34, they are now sleeping under the bridge. But there's a particular story here that I want to read. Okay, it's a story of a young basketball player who was earning millions too. He was earning millions. But at the time of writing the story, like a year after, he was working at a car wash for minimum wage. And on this particular day, he was fired because he had his championship ring on his finger. And the owner of the car wash said, you cannot continue doing this job with your championship ring. Maybe they felt that he could scratch clients' cars with the ring, and he was fired. So he was appealing the termination of his job to say, no, this ring is the only thing I have. It's the only thing that reminds me of the good old days. Can you just imagine? We know a few people like that in our world today who did not do well with money, even though they had a lot of money that could last their generations unborn, that could make them comfortable, but they squandered it. When people ask him, how do you make money? How do you become rich? How can I get rich quick? Is there any book I can read? And all of that. He would usually tell them what Rich Dad would tell him as a kid. He would say to them, if you want to be rich, you need to be financially literate. Yes, because it is not about how much money you have, but about how much money you are able to keep. And we're going to learn more about this as we go on. How much money you are able to keep. So many people are poor. It is not because they are not earning enough money. It is not because they don't have money coming in for them, but they don't know how to keep the money. And more importantly, they don't know how to multiply that money, how to make that money yield more money. And how do they lack this? They lack basic principles of accounting. They don't know how to do accounting. They don't know how to do some simple things that they ought to do, because accounting is a boring subject. A lot of people don't know how to do it. So let's look at rule 1. What is rule 1? If you want to learn how to make your money work for you, if you want to learn to become rich, there is one rule that you must learn. It is rule 1, and it is the only rule. The rule is that you must know the difference between an asset and a liability. Thank you. You must know the difference between an asset and a liability. That is rule one, and that is the only rule. So for the remainder of this chapter, we are going to be learning about asset and liability. If you want to be rich, you must observe this rule religiously. This rule may sound very simple, but most people have no idea how profound this rule is. Most people struggle financially because they do not know the difference between an asset and a liability. If you know what an asset is, please put it in the comment section. If you know what a liability is, put it in the comment section. And please don't write dictionary definitions because they are going to confuse you. In your own simple terms, what is an asset and what is a liability? If you know the difference between those two and you are able to observe the principles that follow asset and liability, then you're going to become rich. Rich people acquire assets, while poor people and the middle class acquire liability, even though they think that they're acquiring assets. So how are we going to differentiate between asset and liability? People don't know the difference, right? So what is the difference? An asset, okay, asset is what guarantees value. Okay, thank you, Hawa. Asset is what guarantees value. I don't want to mention the definition from this book yet. Yes. Who else? And what about liability? Let me delay a little before I actually define it according to this book. Okay, but this rule is simple, and that is why, because Robert Kiyosaki as a child asked that if this rule is so simple, just knowing the difference between assets and liability, how come so many people are not rich? Asset is something, okay, asset is something that brings money to you, while liability is something taking money from you. Liability is what takes away money. Absolutely, you have said it. You all have said it. Anything that brings money into your pockets or into your bank account is an asset. Anything that takes money out is a liability. Even if that thing is very important, it is essential, like food, like clothing, like accommodation, it is still a liability. Whatever brings money in is an asset. Whatever takes money out is a liability. How come a lot of people cannot observe this? How come they cannot just exercise that self-control to make sure that money does not keep going out all the time? As I put money in your pocket, cash flows towards you. Yes, that's right. That's right. Thank you. Because a lot of adults are very, very difficult to teach. They don't want to unlearn. They don't want to relearn. We all want to carry on with the mentality that we already have. It is easier to change the mindset of a dog, if dogs have mindset at all. It is easier to change their mindsets than to change the mindset of a human being. And I know this because I'm a content creator. And sometimes I post a video that people are saying, oh, this is good. Ah, thank you, Dr. Laide. I got value. Wow, I've never thought. And you will see somebody, you see somebody from somewhere that will be like, story. This is the way I know how to do it. This is the way I'm going to continue doing it. And the person will write a comment that suggests that no matter what you say, I am going to continue with this mindset. Just leave me the way I am. So human beings, we humans, are very, very hard to teach. It is difficult to change our minds, and we miss out on big opportunities that appear very simple. If somebody comes to you today with an investment opportunity, if it sounds, very simple, too easy, you may not want to do it, because sometimes you're expecting something hard. We expect that blessings are in the hard and difficult things. That the story must be from grass to grace, that you must first suffer, you must first wallow in penury, and then after like 20 years, you now make it, you now start enjoying, like those Nollywood stories. It doesn't have to be like that. Like we read at the beginning, you just have to open up your mind. Don't close your mind. If somebody brings an investment opportunity to you, and they say that if you invest $5,000, for example, you can get $20,000 Fine, it sounds too good to be true. It sounds very juicy. Do your due diligence. Is it that it is not possible? There are people who bought lands in Nigeria in January for 2 million naira. As I speak to you, that land is worth nothing less than 20 million naira. Yes, just because some developments came around that area. There's a particular place in Lagos, I think Ajah, Lagos, where they said they are proposing to build an airport. And just because of that, the value of property in that area jacked up unexpectedly. So it takes those who have foresight to recognize it. So it is not every investment or every opportunity that is too good to be true that is actually bad. You may just need to have a foresight. And it is not every investment that appears very bad now that, is there any prospect in this one? No. You may have to look beyond that and see, okay, in a few years down the line, this area is going to develop. This thing is going to start yielding. Okay, people may be needing something like this. Now that AI is coming up, okay, this thing may now start selling and things like that. Have an open mind, right? So you need to be financially literate if you want to be rich. You've got to read and understand numbers. Yes, you've got to read and understand numbers. If you cannot read and understand numbers, then you cannot tell an asset from a hole in the ground. You must be able to read numbers. Now let us move to the part where we're going to learn about cash flow. And and here we're also going to learn more about assets and liability. What are those assets that you need to be acquiring? What are the liabilities that are taking money away from you? This is the cash flow. This is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see it. This is a cash flow, and this is the income column. Money moves from here. Sorry, this is the asset column, right? Money moves from your assets into your income column. These are expenses. These are liabilities here. Oh, sorry, can't even see. The cash flow quadrant, yes. Money moves from your assets. If you build assets, it gives you income. That means it puts money into your pockets. If you acquire liabilities, it leads to expenses. Yes. So the box is an income statement, and it is often called a profit and loss statement. It measures income and expenses, money in and money out, how money is coming in and how money is going out. Money will come in through assets when you acquire assets, or maybe when you get your salary as a 9-to-5er, money is going to come in. How do you spend this money? This is now your liability. Many financial novices do not know the relationship between the income statement and the balance sheet. The relationship is vital to understand. Your balance sheet must be balanced at the end of the day. If your outflow is more than your income, your inflow, then it means that you're going to run into money problems. You're going to run into money problems. For some people, if we check their statement of accounts, all that we're going to see will be figures in red. The only green part will be their salary that came in on the 25th of the month. Before the 25th of the next month, everything is red. Everything is red. How can such a person be rich? You're doing a 9-to-5 job. You're not thinking of other means of income. How can I increase my cash flow, the inward flow of cash into my account? You need to be thinking of that. If you have one business, you need to think of how you can have another business. The last few days I've been, let me not say this. I don't want to make this about myself, right? But I have a very juicy example that is making me smile because I had money come into my account frequently. In fact, I've had my figures in green more than red. And it is because I'm trying to implement the principles that I'm learning from the books that we are reading. So it is not enough to just read. You have to take action. Sometimes you may feel like, can I really do this thing? Is it possible? Are people going to buy this thing? Can I get this money? And all of that. But you just have to try it. If you don't fail, you may never taste success. Because Failure is embedded in that success that you want. So try it out. I don't see any reason why you would have gone to school, graduated from the university, and you cannot monetize your knowledge. And you're complaining that there is no job. Come on. You cannot be complaining that there is no job. You went to the university. Okay, sell your knowledge. There are many people who don't know what you know. Most times we second guess ourselves like, this subject is too simple. Everybody knows it. No, not everybody knows it. Sell your knowledge. Organize trainings. Coach people. Offer tutorials. Package it into an e-course, e-books. Go on social media. Talk about what you know, little by little. You're going to get monetized. You cannot complain. It is because you are not looking inward. You are limiting yourself that until you get that job, you cannot have money. Until somebody hires you. If nobody is hiring you, hire yourself. But by all means, money must be coming in. You must think money, you must eat money, you must sleep money, you must dream money, you must walk money, you must talk money. If you want to attract money, that is how to be rich. That is how to jump out of the trap of poverty. An asset is something that puts money in your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pockets. This is really all you need to know. If you want to be rich, simply spend your life buying assets. If you want to be poor or middle class, spend your life buying liabilities. If not, it's not knowing the difference that causes most of the financial struggles in the real world. People don't know the difference. There was a time I also did not know the difference, but now I know the difference. Increase your inward cash flow, right? You don't get a salary and then you buy food, you buy clothes, you pay your bills, energy bills, you pay your landlord, you pay the shoe seller, you go on a date, you go to the cinema, you spend it on transportation. And at the end of the day, the way your money comes in is the same way it goes out, through the liability column. The same way it goes out. Any money that comes into your assets column, you must guard it jealously. Before it must go out, make sure that that money has yielded more money for you. We learned in one of the chapters that the rich pay their bills last. The poor and the middle class, they pay their bills first and then they live on the rest. No, the rich look for what they can do with that money to yield more money. When they have more money, then they will now pay their bills. You see? I'm trying to rush now. The rich are rich because they are more literate in different areas than people who struggle financially. If you want to be rich and maintain your wealth, it is important to be financially literate in words as well as in numbers. 80% of most families have very terrible financial stories. They keep working hard. The harder they work, the more they struggle because they lack financial literacy, because they spend their lives buying liabilities instead of assets. Right? There is a way to make money work for you. More money will not solve your problem. More money will only increase your spending. If you have not mastered financial literacy, you will money comes, you are thinking of what to buy. What party can I throw? Money has come in. And then what happens? Before you know it, the money is gone. Because you don't have financial intelligence to keep that money. Let me say what I said the other time. Any money that comes into your assets column, guard it jealously. In fact, let people think that you are stingy. It is okay. Because the same people that want you to give them freely and generously, the moment you are broke, they will not come to your aid. Like they say in Yoruba, it is Igida Eyefo. Once you are broke, they are gone onto the next available generous person. That is the way human beings are. Yes. So guard your money jealously. You know what you want to achieve with that money, right? So don't always say, oh, I want more money. I want more money. It is not about more money. It is about how you are able to keep the money you have. There are some people who don't earn as much as you earn, but they are richer than you. They are doing better than you because they have financial intelligence. They are financially literate. Okay. Right. Gone are the days when we would teach children oh, go to school, get good grades so that when you come out, you get a good job. This only enslaves people because they get a good job, they get the money, but they don't know how money works. They don't know how to keep the money that they are getting. And it is a terrible thing. I really want to jump out of that trap. And these days, it is so hard to advise any young person that go to school, get good grades. So many of our young people don't want to stick it out in school anymore. They don't want to study so hard because they see a lot of people who are very educated, but who have little or no money to show for it. I know professors who are broke. Yes, damn broke. Ugh. I know PhD holders. I'm a PhD holder. I don't want to be broke, right? But how does it feel that you're just carrying the title of doctor around? Oh, hello, doc. Hi, doc. Oh, my doc, my doc, my doc. But your doc is not putting money in your pocket. Or prof. Oh, my prof, professor. And professor cannot even afford to eat 3 square meals. So the young people are not having that narrative anymore. They want to be skit makers, the likes of Mr. Macaroni. They want to be musicians like Davido. They want to be acting like Funke Akindele, like RMD. They want to go into comedy like AY Macon because they've seen that, see, these people are doing what they love. They're catching cruise, they're enjoying themselves, and they have so much money. They are rich, they are millionaires. Some of them are billionaires. So how do you keep telling them that go to school, get good grades, and then you get a high-paying job, a job that will enslave them? A lot of people want to be free these days. They want to be free. Me, I want to be free. I don't want to be waking up very early on Monday morning and be dressing up to go to work in the cold. I don't want that. I don't want that. So if you don't want that too, this is the time to start planting that seed. This is the time to acquire the financial literacy that you need, right? And to get out of what most poor people and middle people find themselves in, a trap. The poor and middle class all too often allow the power of money to control them by simply getting up and working harder. They fail to ask themselves some important questions. Is this job the right thing that I should be doing now? But because they are afraid that they want to be TikToker, yes. Because they are afraid that if they don't work, they won't pay their bills. So they don't sit down to think. They allow the money to control them, the lack of money or the fear of the lack of money to control them. You have to be truthful to yourself. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, is this job the right thing? I am not getting fulfillment at this job. I am not happy doing it. I don't even have money to show for it. But you keep on doing it. Some people are trapped like that. They do it for the next 30 years just because they are afraid of what will happen if they don't go to work, right? You need to stand out from the crowd. Don't go and get a 9-to-5 job because that's what everybody is doing. If you have the capacity to be a business owner, do it. Stand out from the crowd. Don't follow the crowd. That's the reason why so many people are poor today. People who have great capacity, potentials, who can be employers of labor. Imagine. Who can be employers of labor, but they are there slaving under somebody. It is pathetic. You must recognize what you carry. You must not be afraid to make a move, to take that step. Don't let the fact that you've gone to school limit you. Don't follow the crowd. Don't join the bandwagon. And some of the things that can be liabilities, as explained in this book, is a house. Before you build a house, I know that, we've been taught that, okay, if you want to be rich, build a house, own your own home, which is good. But you should only do that when you have enough cash flow coming in for you to fund your lifestyle. It doesn't make sense that you live in your own house, you've built a home, but you cannot eat. I once heard the story of a man who retired and got like 50 million naira gratuity. And he spent 45 million naira building a house. Simply because we've been told that build your own house, you must live in your own house and all of that. Now he has 5 million naira left, and in less than 1 year, the 5 million naira was gone because remember, salary is no more coming in, right? He made a wrong financial move. In my opinion, what he would have done was to invest that money, probably split it into half, maybe, at least if he doesn't want to invest everything because he's not sure of the outcome of the investment. But if he does his due diligence, we've also learned from this book that people are often afraid of taking risks. They think that, oh, investments are bad. They're afraid of losing their money. No, but it is because you don't have financial intelligence. That's why you don't know the right thing to invest into. You would have invested that money, ensure that the money can be yielding more money for him, and then make enough money and build a house out of the excess money that he has gotten. If he did not want to do that, another option would have been to build that house in a way that he can rent out a part of it. I can rent out a part of it. I just want to believe that people are going to be learning, because in Africa, we like to build big houses, right? You have 3 children, then you and your wife, a family of 5, right? Then you build a 6-bedroom apartment. You've forgotten that you have let's even say your 3 children, each one has a room to him or herself. You and your wife, you have 1 room. You are a very happy couple, loving couple. You sleep in the same room, right? You have 2 extra rooms. You are thinking, okay, when I have guests, they should have a place to stay. And then a few years down the line, all your children are off to the university. From the university, they hardly come home. From there, they get jobs. They don't want to live in their parents' house again. They go rent a house outside. Now you have 5 vacant rooms. What are you doing with them? They're just gathering dust. You pay somebody to come and be cleaning the house so that the house does not become too rusty and dusty. That is liability. That is liability. Why don't you build it in a way that the moment the children are out of the house, you can partition that house and rent out a part of it? Especially if you are nearing retirement and you know that you've not built enough assets that will be generating money for you. That is a wise thing to do. So build your house in a way that once your children are out of the house, partition one side, your tenants have their own entrance into the house. You'll be making your money. And that way, your house becomes an asset and not a liability. So the way you build a house will determine whether it is an asset or a liability. I hope that we'll keep getting wise. All right, wiser and wiser. So your education does not guarantee that you are going to be rich if you don't know the difference between an asset and a liability. Let me read this last part to us. Wealth is a person's ability to survive so many number of days forward. You ask yourself, if I stopped working today, how long could I survive? If you cannot survive, then you are not wealthy. If your employer says today that your job is over, how many days more can you survive without that job? Can you survive for 30 days more because you have small change saved somewhere? Or can you survive for the next 10 years? Or can you survive for your remaining lifetime because you have built enough assets? Think about this so that you will not be carried away. You will always build assets, buy assets, limit your liabilities, limit your outward cash flow, and increase your inward cash flow. Thank you very much for joining me on this live stream. Thank you for all of your engaging comments. I hope that you picked something from this chapter that is titled Financial Literacy. Tomorrow, we're going to look at lesson 3, which is titled Mind Your Business. This is chapter 4, lesson 3, the third lesson that Rich Dad taught Robert Kiyosaki and his best friend, Mike. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like this live stream, drop all of your comments, subscribe to this channel if you are yet to subscribe. I remain Olaide Agbaje, also known as First Lady, and on this channel, I inspire you to live intentionally. We'll meet again by God's grace, 9:30 p.m. West African time or Nigerian time. Until then, be intentional. Bye. You are most welcome, everybody. Take care. God bless you.